Great day in the morning, Bravehearts, Urbanites, and CoachMaddHatters. Lenuminous activated. Welcome to the 90-Day Journey by Heart installation for days 14 through 20. The theme for this multiplex is our ABCs. A, Daring Greatly by Dr. Brene Brown. B, Habit number 5 from Habit number 5, seek first to understand, then be understood. And C, my intuitive details regarding the Willie Lynch letter. And I will uh, present my disclosures when we get to that. First, let's start at the beginning and what it really means to dare greatly. How about what it really means to dare greatly whilst in the midst of a still activated curse? And I really do know, that some folks will regard this as a fantastical feat, um, mainly because many of the cursed either don't know that they're cursed, won't believe that they're cursed, or are honestly preoccupied with life, that they just can't entertain the fact that the curse could be reversed. But at the bare minimum, at the fundamental basis of a curse, is the rearrangements or the arrangements of words, spellcasters. You wonder why they exist. And with regards to my social strata, where my cultural denomination resides inside this, or not even inside, on, upon, there we go, upon the social totem pole of American soil. What does it mean exactly to dare greatly as a cursed entity? What does it mean exactly? What does it mean exactly? For beginners, and I will say, as I've said in many other installments, this is my opinion. It's mine to have. I have enough life on me. I've been in this realm long enough to have an opinion. Um, and it truly is subjected to my purview, my outlook, and my unique sets of perception. Since I don't speak in terms of right and wrong, I need not debate. I offer up my insights to you. Lenuminous activated. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. And that is from the um, Theodore Roosevelt speech, Citizens in the Republic, April 23rd, 1910, Paris, France. Habit number 5. First, seek first to understand and then be understood. It's a great injustice to stand inside of a position um, of firm misrepresentation, unvetted, unvalidated, misconstrued, mangled assumptions. The rumor mill is live and well. It is live and well. It does its greatest productions when not challenged. I'm finding myself increasingly urging folks to, when they are told something or when they are presented with something, that immediately, especially if the presenter is present, if they are face to face, say to them, especially if the subject is another person, well, you wouldn't mind inviting so and so to the conversation just so we can have some clarity, so we can hear from the source's mouth. If that is not readily available, tap into this thing we love to call Critical Thinking 101 to see if, in fact, the common denominator will reveal itself during the moments that we suspend judgment until we understand better. I know it's not easy to suspend one's judgment until one has the time to produce the clarity to know better. I know. We live in a microwavable era right now. Everything quick and convenient, quick and convenient. That's the way we like it. It's the way we love it. We don't like slow cooked, home grown production. We like hasty judgments, convenient perceptions, and persnickety involvements. That's what we like. We like the drama. We love the drama. There is no law without the orderliness of drama. Impatient, unmatured, unvetted, unvalidated drama. So, with that said, I am going to read a little short fable from out of here that I think, as well as a brief commentary that I think is wondrous to set this installment up. The principle can be easily understood by remembering Aesop's fable of the goose and the golden egg. This fable is the story of a poor farmer who one day discovers in the nest of his pet goose a glittering golden egg. At first, he thinks it must be some kind of trick, but as he starts to throw the egg aside, he has a second thought, and it takes it. He takes a sec. He he has a second thought and takes it to be appraised instead. The egg is pure gold. The farmer can't believe his good fortune. He becomes even more incredulous the following day when the experience is repeated. Day after day, he's awakened to rush to the nest and find another golden egg. He becomes fabulously wealthy. It all seems too good to be true. But with his increasing wealth comes greed and impatience. Unable to wait day after day for the golden eggs, the farmer decides he will kill the goose and get them all at once. But when he opens the goose, he finds it empty. There are no golden eggs. And now there is no way to get any more. The farmer has destroyed the goose that produced them. I suggest that within this fable, a natural law, a principle, the basic definition of effectiveness. Most people see effectiveness from the golden egg paradigm. The more you produce, the more you do, the more effective you are. But as the story shows, true effectiveness is a function of two things: what is produced, the golden eggs, and the producing asset or capability, or capacity to produce, the goose. If you adopt a pattern of life that focuses on golden eggs and neglect the goose, you will soon be without the asset that produces golden eggs. On the other hand, if you only take care of the goose with no aim toward the golden eggs, you soon won't have the wherewithal to feed yourself or the goose. Effectiveness lies in the balance, what I call the P/PC balance. P stands for production of desired results, the golden eggs. PC stands for production capability, the ability or asset that produces the golden eggs. And often I have spoken about the usage of this book throughout this journey, because we are journeying by heart. It's becoming the journey by heart is almost in alignment with the demise of the goose. It's almost like we are no longer journeying this life by heart. We've come into the last leg where it feels like it's truly about to become all logic, all gadgets, all technology. Like the heart is always the last. It's always bringing up the rear. This is one of the more harder recordings. Even with the gap of how long it has taken me to record from the last installment. Um, and I do struggle with adhering to um, the purpose of the recording. I know many of us approach the intentions of recording for an increase in popularity. Posting in the public domain is honestly a feat of initiation. Um, inside Arena One, daring greatly uh, to to outline to outline certain pro-personal objectives and to elaborate content and context, which is a showcasing of much that can usually be discussed when you sit with a Coach Mad Hatter. These recordings are also offered up as honorarium to my Chiron in Aries and my Saturn in Gemini, and as a living example of a primary element within side of self-coaching as it relates to Coach Mad Hattery, which is encompass of understanding one's natal chart and the placements as if they were placements upon an inevitable chessboard. I often wonder, and I have posed this question a couple of times to a few very important people. And if I haven't posed it to you, doesn't mean you're not important. Um, but when the urging to pose it comes up, and it really is all upon the basis of the quality of the conversation. That what if, how about this? I'm going to read this. Let me share this with you. So, Light Watkins uh, sent to his members yesterday. Uh, yeah, yesterday. It's called Be the Best. And I'm just going to read this one part. When you discover what you will be in your life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. Don't just set out to do a good job. Set out to do such a good job that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't have done it better. So I leave with that portion to ask the question, what if you were meant to go through that? What if you were being divinely guided to experience that with that person? What if your first-hand knowledge from being within the moment is part of your greatest commission? What if what you are viewing as hardship or I don't know, whatever it is that you are viewing as hardship, what if that's the actual blessing? What if the hardship, the struggle is the blessing? What if that's the blessing? What if it's the precise tools that you will need to reverse the curse, to rewrite the spell? You cannot reverse anything that you do not enter. What's the word I'm looking for? Intricately understand the details. Like you have no, absolutely like no, you have no clue of the details. Like you have no firm inner under over outer standing. You have no zoomed out perspective, like to be able to see it like here versus here, the elephant and the blind man. Truly, even in their blindness, if they were able to experience firsthand the entire elephant, what they had to offer up, what they had to ponder with, would have been so much more enlightened. They would have come closer to the true value of the entirety. So here are my disclosures regarding the Willie Lynch letter. While we continue to go back and forth about whether it was really a Willie, there was really a letter, or if it's a metaphor, or if it's a social hoax, or grapple over the details, the fact of the matter is there are some intricate details that would lend us to the verses of the curse that now need to be remixed and reversed, rewritten, aka rewritten, recomposed. And when I think about reverse, I think about capital R, small e, capital VERSE. That's what I think about. That's the way that I am able to um, give it some intuitive power when it's time to unfold that thing. I'm trying to remember the little Remember the little, I don't even know how I can make it, like in grade school, and I can't remember what it's called, but it was like a pyramid, and you would put like these little answers inside of it, and you would fold it a certain kind of way, and you asked it questions, and you counted or whatever, and then when you finished, asking it the question, then you can flip it up, and there's an answer, almost like the black 8 ball that you shake up and you ask a question. And yeah, but the ones we used to make in school were a lot more elaborate. But I'm telling you, it used to have some truth to that. I don't know if it was only like the schools that I was going to. We were the only ones that was doing it. I'm not sure, but it lended some insightful ahas for certain questions, even if they were childlike questions we were posing to it. It's amazing that I would think about that right now because I hadn't thought about that little contraption in a long time. But let me put this up right now while I just take a moment to recalibrate my thoughts. Let me see if you can make sure that it's yeah. So let me just take a break for a moment because I'm baffled here. I'm baffled about the things that make sure you can see it. The things that we have to contend with and how we are paying attention to everything but that. Even just to acknowledge that within this curse is the mismanagement of language. Those within my cultural denomination do not have the same relationship with words and language as other cultural denominations do. Not even to mention, like, what is it? What was it? Like a 250-year, like, on the bench? Like, they have 250 years uh, ahead of us in relations to their romance with words and the utilization of such, the craftiness of such, the original situation and the original arrangements and productions of words, producers of language that becomes adopted inside of an entire society. The comprehension of such words. Like, who determines what will be the leading language of a society? And then what must they do to make sure that certain verses stay alive and well? Because words are like impressions to the psyche. And those that manipulate words truly do hold like a metaphorical wand, if you will. Sharpened swords, aka their penmanship. And the ultimate thing, like the golden fleece of the reversing certain curses, really is one's agreement to sit with its dictionary, to explore its intuitive hunches around certain words and the definition of certain words, what it meant historically to its cultural denomination, as well as what it meant to the counterparts of others and their cultural denominations. Where one may find itself inside the narrative, and if in fact it has its own penmanship to either affirm, investigate, or deny the narrative. Who takes charge of the narrative? Who claims the narrative? Who owns the narrative? Only by heart can the narrative belong to you, because you do have to sit with it. You truly do have to dance with words and invoke your comprehension so that you may own it. So that you may own it. The investigations are real. Your distractions, especially our social distractions, are here. To own the narrative, you actually have to leave from here, travel into here, dip down into there, consider it over here. And then you must toggle within your smiley face between your feelings, your intuition, your thoughts. Your thoughts, your intuition, your feelings. Your feelings, your intuition, your thoughts. Your thoughts, your intuition, your feelings. We're scared to lose the sensation. We scared shitless of sitting down in the dark and tapping into one's intuition. Intuition only comes alive when there are no distractions. Why do you think sensation and intuition are at the opposites of the scope? There's a lot to be had. There's a lot to this thing called reversing the curse. And curses are such a multiplex. They're cultural, they're social, they're intellectual, they're therapeutical. Is that a word? They're emotional. Stand by, folks. Okay. I remain curious at how many of us remain mentally residing inside the notion that the haves and the have nots, the haves and the have nots is under the full constituency of those that are projected as property and those whom are not, those whom are projected as the producers. So you are either a producer of the society or you are a product of it. And the making of a slave, for purposes of this installment, will be inside of a concentrated metaphor. So that means we are speaking only in terms of the corridors between the head and the heart. beyond the physical is where we're going with this. Okay. So that totally dispels the notion to want to debate about whether the letter was actually written or if there truly was a Willie Lynch. We are speaking in terms of cultural archetype. Just as Chiron is researched and developed as a cultural archetype, the proficiency of a slave based archetype, the characteristics of an archetype with a view of practical results. It was the interest and business of slaveholders to study human nature and view the slave nature in a particular way for practical results. And many of them attained astonishing proficiency. They were constantly looking for the first signs. They watched with skilled and practiced eyes, and they learned to read with great accuracy the state of mind of the slave, the heart of the slave, through his stable, very dark face. What do you do with horses? What you do with horses is that you break them from what you do with horses is you break them from one form of life to another. That is, reduce them from their natural state in nature. Whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their offspring, we break the natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency status so that we may be able to get from them useful production for our business and pleasure. We understand that short range planning economics results in periodic chaos. So, to avoid economic turmoil, it requires us to have long range, comprehensive planning. We'll never be able to reverse the curse if we do not begin to enlist those who are willing to stay the course, regardless. We like it fast and convenient. We like the quick and easy. We very rarely dig in for the long haul. We want it lofty, we want it luxurious, we want it fast, we want it sexy, we want it alluring, we want it tantalizing. All along, the golden threads, the golden eggs that you only get one per day, and you have to patiently wait for the goose to lay it. And it is truly a incredible fable to situate one's perception, because it's almost like having the patience to connect the dots after they reveal themselves to you, and that the primary killers of the very thing we need, which is reversing the curse, is impatience and greed. Like, that's what kills the goose that will give us the golden eggs to reverse the curse. Metaphorically speaking, you have to sit with language in order to understand, in order to understand it was the interest and business of slaveholders to study human nature. The study of human nature is the golden egg. Each day, the engagement of particular studies will reveal to you the goldenness, the golden enlightenment by which this may be reversed. You have to rewrite it. And not that you're necessarily going to rewrite, that you're going to, not that you're necessarily going to write another curse. You're just going to unwrite this one. Whether you're talking about RIGHT, RITE, or WRITE. It's a whole lot of writing that needs to be done. How long does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? How long does it take to get to the center of one's comprehension of what is a curse? How are we cursed? Like, tell me something. Like, what would you do? How would you proceed if someone you loved so much, and I'm talking about so very much, to the point that you would do anything for them, you find out that they are cursed, and that what they really truly need you to do is become a questmate. Become a questmate to help them reverse the curse. Like, to journey like on some Jason and the Golden Fleece type shit. Like some Middle Earth, like trying to get back into like the Misty Mountain type shit. Like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hollows type shit. Like, would you truly sign up as Ron or Hermione? Like, what would you do? Like, would you educate yourself so that you could yield a wand that, would precede your reputation? Like, would you stand? Would you stand strong? Would you adequately educate yourself so that you could yield your wand to fuck up the foes? Like, would you go into the deep, dark crevices with your beloved to help them, like, undo this curse, like off some Stranger Things type shit? Would you? Would you go and hop and skip timelines? Like a Wrinkle in Time type shit. Would you? Would you do that? Or would you stand inside of this human complacency and act like like curses don't exist? What if your loved one came to you? Or why would they even have to come to you? Like, would your sensibilities not tap in, tune in, turn on the inkling, the clues, the cues that your loved one is suffering from a curse, unspoken because it's generation upon generation? How would you begin to tap into that? How would you start investigating that? Instead of cutting these fucking coupons and wondering what Target got on sale, how would you go and engage the ancient text so that your loved one did not have to travel this earth cursed? Or would you go and talk behind their back, talk about their energy bad? How could you step in as the curse slayer? Would you? Could you? We lay down the following principles for long range comprehensive economic planning. Both horse and black are no good to the economy in its wild and natural state. Both must be broken for orderly production. Human resources is not called human resources for nothing, and only those who have been broken and properly charmed may they be selected through the human resource process. So, most often, I speak to the unemployable. Does that mean that you will never be able to gain income? No, but you do have to begin to tap into that which is considered the curse reversal. For orderly future, special and particular attention must be laid to the female and the youngest offspring. All day long and twice on Sunday, I'm being judged because I knew that if I did not recognize myself as a problem, I was going to continue to perpetuate a certain curse. Like the children are raised at a certain altitude. They must be, and I'm just going to put in parentheses, emotionally crossbred, which means the anger, the perpetual angriness of the black mama. That's the crossbreeding in this, because remember, we're talking situation from the head to the heart. So we're in metaphor right now. Children that grow up inside households that do not encourage them to investigate their uniqueness or their daily living is plagued, is invaded by random, angry, outlandish bouts of unpredictability. Their emotionality is sabotaged. Both must be taught to respond to a particular new language. Psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. And if we don't believe that we are in various mental containment, one moment, please. All right, okay, we're back. So, and of course, I have completely lost my train of thought. So, I'm going to pick up right here, which is the um, bottom half of my notes. And then we're going to move into my intuitive details. So, as it goes, let's see. Okay, so yes. As said before, there is an art in long range economic planning. You must keep your eyes and thoughts on the female and the offspring of the black man. Therefore, if you break the female mother, she will break the offspring in its early stages of development. And when the offspring is old enough to work, She will deliver it up to you. For her, normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking. And what's quite interesting about this is that when my notions about my inadequate parental education, because remember, we learn to be parents by our parents, or we learn our parenting skills through the examples of parenting within our environment. Only a handful. Only a handful is miraculously removed from the curse ridden deployments inside the homesteads of my cultural denominations. I had no language for it then. I had no language for it. I just knew that from looking at the historical value of the parents that surrounded me, and then looking at the parental values of the parental examples that surrounded my ex husband, it was a no brainer. It was a no brainer. It really was. It was a no brainer. Um, but what I did not know was that I was being thrust upon a quest to reverse the curse that had been quilted in and out and around my existence. I had no language for it. I had no idea that that was what was going on with me, only in hindsight. And we're talking like in the last 24 months, only in hindsight. I often thank my lucky stars that I am a note taker, that I am a journaler, that I am naturally a research and developer. Like I can sit and focus. Those are the things that work for me, that I can sit and focus. Like it truly does feel like, according to my natal charting, my intuitive chess placements, that it was only destined that I be one frustrated enough to sit and try my hand at decoding and reversing. That I would even love language enough to sit and compare this language with this language, and this social comprehension with this social comprehension, and really dive into this thing called Sankofa reconstruction, and patiently wait for my intuitive golden eggs to drop. But because it didn't look like everybody else's golden eggs, I spent a lot of time disenchanted with why my life could not be full of fluff and be lofty. Why could I not have the tenure with this company? 401, 401k nice and fluffy and plush. Health insurance, be able to go to the doctor whenever something ails me. So I'll pose the question again. especially if within your heart, mind, and soul you feel that a curse lingers, whether it's immediately in your space or if it's intertwined within your lineage, or if you sense it's intertwined within someone you greatly love inside of their lineage. Are you willing to sit and take up the cause to sharpen your wand, your sword, your penmanship, so that certain curses can be put up on a chopping block to be reversed, to be rewritten, to be unwritten, unlock certain mysteries so that they no longer can hold you captive? You cannot unlock a lock you can't see or sense. Change the narrative that it's not just happening to them, because me is we. So to sit and unlock the mysteries will not only unlatch you, but it'll also help unlatch those that you are intuitively connected to, kinetically connected to, intrinsically, divinely connected to. Now, I have it on my mind to do a part two with regards to the intuitive details around the Willie Lynch letter, because there's more to the metaphor, there's more to the metaphora that we need to speak about. This was just all of the notes that I had for this installment, um, mainly because there are other things that we must tap into before it is all said and done. And so the next thing up is self Seth. Seth. Yeah. So so is I'd be wondering if it's Golden or Godine. Golden. I think it's Golden because there's no E on it. So I don't think we really understand what tribal archetypes too maybe, but we don't understand the archetypal archetypal there we go characteristics around tribes. And I'm not gonna of course I'm not going to render an in-depth reading leading from the bottom. And every time I look at that, I really think about leading from the root chakra to the crown chakra. These chakra station chiefs with inside of our invisible world, they wait for us to give it instruction. A group needs only two things to be a tribe: a shared interest and a way to communicate. They want change, something to believe in, something to believe in. Tribes are about faith, about belief in an idea and in a community. And they are grounded in the respect respect and admiration for the leaders of the tribe and for the other members as well. Do you believe in what you do every day? It turns out that belief happens to be a brilliant strategy. Three things have to happen pretty much at the same time. All three point to the same temporarily uncomfortable but ultimately marvelous outcome. Many people are starting to realize that they work a lot and that working on stuff they believe in and making things happen is much more satisfying than just getting a paycheck and waiting to get fired or die. Many organizations have discovered that a factory centric model of producing goods and services is not nearly as profitable as it used to be. Many consumers have decided to spend their money buying things that aren't factory produced commodities. They've decided to spend their time embracing off the shelf ideas. Consumers have decided instead to spend time and money on fashion, on stories and things that matter, and on things they believe in. So here we are. We live in a world where we have the leverage to make things happen, the desire to do work we believe in, and a marketplace that is begging us to be remarkable. And yet, in the middle of these changes, we still get stuck following archaic rules, stuck in industries that not only avoid change but actively fight it, stuck in fear of what our boss will say, stuck because we're afraid we'll get in trouble. Most of all, we're stuck acting like managers and employees instead of like the leaders we could become. We're embracing a factory instead of a tribe. The irony is that all of this fear used to be useful. Fear can change, fear of change is built into most organisms because change is the first sign of risk. Fear of change in a huge factory is appropriate when efficiency is the order of the day. Fear of change in a huge factory is appropriate when efficiency is the order of the day. Today, though, the fear that used to protect us at work is now our enemy. It's now the thing standing in our way. Go figure. This one was a hard one. I think this installation was probably the hardest that I've ever had to sit in front and record. Mainly because I struggled with if I was going to be able to honestly stand in my rising grief of being able to raise the awareness that there are curse among us. People look at me strange when I say that I'm dealing with the strong evocations of certain things that took place in my childhood. They don't seem to like embrace it with a belief. Like, okay, when Jason told his friends that he was getting ready to be on a quest to retrieve the golden fleece, they did not play around with the truth of that matter. Those that was going along with him suited up and they pieced out. Like Jason didn't have to Jason didn't have to convince them. We've been so embedded in this thing called comply consent, and our belief mappings have been deliberately misconstrued, deliberately misrepresented. We've been locked into the boxes of good and evil. Generationally, we believe we understand what good is and what evil is. And if we come across something that strikes us as evil, we run from it, we shun it. What if we actually began to stand inside a very sturdy, very fortified, investigative, unwavering mode? That we were going to do our due diligence in unlocking mysteries, researching the mystical, tapping into the hidden languages so that we may find the strength and the courage, the invisible astrological strength and courage to unlock it, to unlock it. And all sorts of doesn't matter if it's fantastical, if it's fairy tale, if it's cosmic, aka comic books. It doesn't matter whether it's legend, if it's an urban legend, if it's ancient text, inside mysteries. There always comes a moment when you have to face off with the grand door that requires you to either give blood or combine your wisdom with your intelligence. And it's a combination of, it's not necessarily like an actual physical key. Like you have to pull out your wit in order for the door to open so that you may proceed. We are unlocking curses, people. Your distractions is your kryptonite. Your unwillingness to sit with the mystery until it reveals itself to you is the kryptonite. Not understanding language. You cannot face off and decode nothing, anything, everything that you don't understand, understand, overstand. Do you have a terminology that fits best for you? We're not doing either or. It's the way you see it and the way I see it. Together unlocks the fucking door. You got a piece, I got a piece, he got a piece, she got a piece. Together. Y'all remember those cases? You remember that they still exist, the cases, briefcases, where one, there's a lock on in this briefcase and there's a lock in this briefcase, and together, only together when it's turned together, does the nuclear happen. So I am going to see if I can get a closing message from the cards. Pro personal study, CoachMaddHatters Tarot, the Hangman, inside of a golden compass purview. Meditate upon your quality of query and powerful question. Seek the infusions of newness as need be. And this little card done been through some things, so you might be able to see most of it. But yeah, we're going into commission mode soon. You have a cursed friend. You have a cursed friend that is not truly in the position to be outlining and elaborating to those that are not intuitively involved in the unbreaking, or those that have not been. That's incredible because the last installation, this same card came out. Then that means it's double time, huh? Um, that seek the enlistment of true quest mates. There are folks out there that really do not care about friends to go to the mall with. They don't care about those that will meet up with them and sit at the bar. They don't even drink, not even interested. And they not necessarily too keen on going out to dinner. They can fix their own food. And not that they're untrusting, they just know how to cook. So they fix their own food. They would prefer for you to come over with your books and your pencils and your notebooks and your highlighters. Y'all sit around the dining room table, fix something tasty, and bring in wonderful beverage, and everybody just get to it. They would prefer to be in a place where you can kick your shoes off and unloosen your belt if you need to. So, the other two cards that dropped out, okay, so this is the card of vocabularies, and I'm going to have to pull up the name of this keyword again. So, metaphor. Oh yeah, this is a fairly new word, so I'm still getting used to it. Let's see, do I have it? Do I still have it up from the last? Yep, I sure do. This, I'm telling you, this card came out just days ago in the last installment. Metonymy. Metonymy, which means the substitution name of an attribute. And then the next word is metamorphosis. So inside of your vocabulary journal, write these three words down. These three words somehow magically mean something to you. And if the words themselves don't mean something to you, I'm almost sure that the meaning and how you can involve it inside your present context means something. Even if it just means to rearrange the way you approach things, how you ponder things. Tapping into things from a metaphorical standpoint will help unlock certain mysteries. There isn't much nowadays that you can refer to in a literal sense. That's the reason why we're in this lopsided ass mess that we're in. Reversing the curse means you have to be able to speak metaphorically. You have to be able to identify the
metonymy
within each situation. Like some things truly have been substituted out. And only through that will certain metamorphosis take place. A metamorphosis awaits you. Become somebody's questmate to help them reverse the curse. The next card is the Pro Personal Study, CoachMaddHatters Tarot, the Sun. Inside the Golden Compass purview, meditate upon the brightest aspects of your existence. Focus primarily on joy, delight, successful outcomes, and special people, places, and things. So, yeah, no, yeah, maybe. We are, we are working to get it, at least get the prototype situated. I think I do. I think I might want to pull just another. Let's shuffle one more time and see what happens to. This one came out too, so that means we are. You know what? Okay, so Coach Mad Hatter's Tarot, once again, the Queen of Eureka. Meditate upon intrapersonal wonders and inward dialogue. Increase self courtships and musology. One day we will have new technology. Soon, one day soon, we will have new technology. One day soon, we will reverse this curse. One day soon, there will be enough folks that have taken up the cause to reverse their curses. Please stand by. Okay. So yes, one day soon. One day soon, we will discover that there were some that did actually become quietly provoked to study language, to increase their vocabulary, to sharpen their swords, aka their penmanships, and that they will no longer be attracted to all of the distractions that dwell within this society. Like they will become sensitive to that which is called infiltration and COINTELPRO. Like they will become investigators of how certain situations became infiltrated and how certain people don't necessarily do the proper vet and validating that they should, and that there is an ushering of energy that is there for the prime utilization of overthrowing what is lopsided, what is factory centric, what is follow fashion, increasing vibes of please and thank you, engaging in eureka moments, seeking intentional serendipity and synchronicity, getting ready to read, getting ready, getting set, going. Okay, so we are going to pull a few more cards. Um, just to solidify if we can. And while we wait, it's the season to journal fit. It's the season to go and get a few journals. and they don't have to be expensive. I think I've showed you a few of them real quick. So I know you remember this one, Target. You remember this one, Dollar Store. As well as this one, yeah. And then this one, even though this one is a little bit more costly, um, but it's journal season. So you can, yeah, do yourself a favor, but you know how I say, like put your little tabs on there, and it's a lot more um, sturdier. It's a lot more sturdier than the other one. But as I've mentioned before, like I move into my journals. I yeah, I just clamp some stuff in the inside when you need to. But like I often say, the have you ever thought about the journals of um, the archaeologists or the exhibitionists that traveled, um, like the Moroccan lands, or those that was uncovering, um, research and developing the Egyptian Sphinx, or going inside of the Great Pyramids. Just think about their heirs, their, I want to say their ancestors, but then also know their heirs, like the lineage, those that were due to inherit their knowledge, their journals, their intimate thoughts and sentiments, like how they felt about some stuff. Like just just what it meant to them on a regular basis, like how they unlocked certain mysteries, or when their aha moments came in, and what they were about, what they were about. I am going to pull a few more cards, but let me just, it's coming on my mind to read this to you. Let me read this to you real quick. Um, Anyone who knows me knows I travel with this. Like, this does not hardly ever leave my side. And I know that might sound a little weird, but it's the truth. Like, there are a few pieces that, because I'm on a quest, I am an official quest mate. I will travel with this before I will remember to bring my any of my gadgets. So let me just share real quick. And I don't know. I think you know what, we've pulled enough cards that may not even need to. How about that? The bottom of the deck. Let's just do that, and that'll be. Can you see it? Hold on. Let me see if I can. The journey begins now. Like the journey begins now. Meditate upon any entry level aspects of your current affairs. Sign up to be someone's questmate, and give them the added power of reversing the curse. Like, give them the added power, and join them in recovering their golden fleece. And saying is that we're all divinely connected, it could ultimately be your golden fleece. Sharpen your penmanship, step into that investigative mode, Help your friend vet and validate some things. Learn how to rearrange the language so that you may help reverse these fucking curses. While we're at it, just so you can, I hope you can see that, just so you can understand what's good. Sign up to be a questmate. And it's not something that you have to officially do. No, you just have to be in an agreement within yourself that if you are not approached by a friend, you become your own friend. And I know sometimes that we may get it like twisted thinking that if we're privileged or we have generative income or we have a 401k plan, that somehow we are not encompassed in this thing. Become a story sponsor. Questmates and story sponsors. Okay, so page 37. Throughout Africa, storytellers hold an esteemed place in the community. They are the repositories of knowledge. They are the teachers. They pass down their wisdom through stories, the symbolic imagery through stories, the symbolic imagery of their life experience. The oral tradition has been passed along and is evident in African American culture today. Okay, so now we are on page 43. Treating relationships as preeminent, attuning ourselves to temporal rhythms, emphasizing learning through subjective barometers and symbolic imagery. These are the core of African American culture. We feel them, know them to be true. Our mission is to integrate them and learn how to use them to our advantage in the world in which we find ourselves. And then there is one other piece that I had the intention. The power of definition. Even though I'm not going to read that one. I'm trying to figure out, is that what I wanted? I don't, I don't think so. There was another piece. I didn't mark it. But then that'll be it then. Yeah, because we're already at an hour and a half. And I literally pushed through this one. So you would think that I would hurry up and be wanting it to end. Because today has been today's installment. Today hasn't even, it's not even noon yet. So it hasn't even truly gotten started. But the weight is heavy. Okay, so I'll close it with this. So those are some concepts we must be clear about. As you will see, all manner of opinions, beliefs, half-truths, and outright lies have been presented over the years to prove blacks are inferior. Many of these were presented in the name of science, and many of these were printed in textbooks, scientific journals, and media of the era. The effort to prove supremacy goes on to this very day and is important for us to be able to differentiate fact from fiction. And so, yes, once again, I am, tees shirts. Coach tees shirts going on sale pretty soon. Um, they're going to be short sleeve t-shirts as well as long sleeve t-shirts, as well as hoodies and sweatshirts and hoodie zip ups. CoachMaddHatters. Of course, there'll be other things within the gear collection, but it's going to be study friendly gear. Stuff that you can romp around doing study zone inside the libraries, doing hangout suites, that kind of thing. We are pro study. We're truly pro self study. So we will be rolling out the fall collection pretty soon, um, regarding self study friendly gear, travel friendly study book bagging, messenger bagging friendly gear. So be on the lookout for that. Um, And so, yeah, folks, that's it. It has truly been a wonder. I feel very, very happy that I stuck with it. Even at the beginning of this journey, at the very first installment, if not the second, I mentioned that I was going to show up regardless of how heavy my emotional influences may be. I'm a very emotional creature, and I stand in the presence of my emotionality moment to moment on an ongoing basis. I had to learn through mistakes to do that, but I am now here. Um, I hope this session has been insightful. I really do. And so until next time, I have to look to make sure you can see all of it. Seems so weird. I do wish you well. The fan's blowing. Maybe you'll be able to see it, maybe you won't. So thanks for joining us. And there is an official call for urban journalists and playwrights. We have a few major projects coming down the pipe. So if you are within the Washington D.C. metro area and you have an interest or have always wanted to become part of an ensemble that will speak in urban delight regarding certain reversals of curses and narrative power and the inside the artistic realm of being able to tell one's own story, get in touch with us. Get in touch with us and see if in fact you can become a questmate to, yeah, just be part of the magic, conspiring to be part of the magic. So until next time, I wish you well.